Well, what's up, y'all? This is Will once again, Conversation with Coomer, and today we have Liam Ottley. Liam,
Hello.
actually, interesting point. Liam and I have talked over socials. Another Compass guy. We've known each other technically over socials for probably what, a year and a half, maybe something like that.
About that.
Now meeting in Madrid, Spain, and we just finished up our lunch here at this sweet restaurant. And yeah, it's been great to get to know more in person and bring that together. But otherwise, like we already talked about, it's pretty simple, designed to give guys a proof of concept. So if you want to just dive in with like, hey, this is me, we can start there.
Sure. How, like, do you want to go career, life story, like?
Let's go, yeah, like a little bit life story, and then can switch into the business side of things.
Yeah. So my name's Liam Ottley. I'm from New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand, Whangarei, New Zealand, originally. I'm based out of Dubai now, but considering calling that a day, maybe at the end of the year. I'm here for a few weeks here in Madrid, enjoying the summer, meeting some good guys as well. But yeah, I have a YouTube channel, I have an AI development company, I have education business and a software as well. If that kind of goes against the rule of just do one thing and do it well, but it's all kind of aligned. So we're testing a lot in the AI space. But I've been fortunate enough to get into the AI space kind of when it first kicked off and built a personal brand in it, and have been able to meet some incredible people, build an amazing team, and have a pretty big impact in the space of about 16, 18 months. So yeah, and now I'm just scaling the business, working on myself, and hanging out with my friends.
Perfect, yeah. And so actually going into that from the start to now, what is, and you don't have to go back to, oh yes, I'm 12 years old, but like, what actually brought you into the online business space in the first place? Like, what was that process? Like, what brought you there in terms of like wanting to be here? And then what was the process what did the process look like to bring you to where you are now?
So I got hit with a Ty Lopez ad. It's like a bunch of guys in the space. So like Adam has a he got a Ty Lopez ad. After I'd finished high school in New Zealand, I was going to Scotland for my gap year to live there for a year, live and work at a school, do my OE, etc. And I'd done quite well in school academically, and so I thought, okay, here's this course. I can make money online, sure. Okay, well, if you're so smart in books and at school, then what does the like real world translation of smart look like? And so I kind of challenged myself to say, if you're so fucking smart, then figure out how to make some money. You've got a whole 12-month period to figure it out. So bought the course, started doing drop shipping over in Scotland out of my little hole in the wall flat that we had. Lost all my money, did a few $1,000s in revenue, and then what transitioned me from sucking and losing all my money was there was a guy in New Zealand called Josh Brown, who's now my business partner, and I used to look up to him. I saw this newspaper article about how this New Zealand guy was making like hundreds of thousands of dollars selling e-commerce, or like doing e-commerce. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, fucking this guy's like 19, he's making all this money. Why am I not doing it? And so I used to always look up to him. I'd be messaging him on Instagram, and thankfully he kind of pushed me in the right direction, just replying occasionally on Instagram throughout that year in Scotland. And then when I came back to New Zealand to go to university for what ended up being like 6 months to a year, I got into his like e-commerce incubator, and I started applying his strategies to the base of knowledge that I already had, and I started making money like instantly. So that was my first. I find that first step for young entrepreneurs is getting that first like $30,000-$50,000 like little nest egg. Ideally making the first 100 grand even. Then you have a chance to like step back and go, okay, now I don't have to. Actually have time to think about this, and I'm not just trying to figure out where the next paycheck's coming from. So that was very fortunate for me to be able to get that information and have that foundation, and then also meet like another young entrepreneur in New Zealand who was actually very motivated, and now we're business partners. And it's the best relationship I could possibly ask for as a business partner. So that's how I got here.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks for sharing that too. I didn't actually. It's really refreshing to hear another guy who was like, we just talked about this, right? Like, I did 4 years at American Uni, and I was like, yeah, I was good in high school as well in terms of like book smart and whatnot. And then it was like, okay, I can go. Maybe you even looked at this. Like, if you go to uni, you can go to uni and go into investment banking or whatever else. Yeah. So to hear somebody who had that kind of same approach, where it's like, okay, like, I'm good at this book smart, and to realize how does that translate? Yeah, that's fine, because I know there's actually a lot of guys like that too.
I think the reason it took me a year to start making money online is because I was so book smart, and you have to like unpick it. Instead of just learn exam, or learn do, you have to completely invert that as an entrepreneur to do learn, and it's the opposite way around. So I think I had to spend instead of like me setting up an e-commerce store for like 2 weeks and then testing it, and then I had to completely rewire my brain to be from like translate that school smart into entrepreneur smart and readjust the way that I thought and approach problem solving.
Sweet, sweet. So actually on that same note too, what is something you would tell a previous version of yourself, or even that one we're talking about right now, or someone out there right now also who's in the same position? Or what would you do differently, whatever you want to say?
I would say focus on picking an area or a set of skills that you can focus on that's going to be valuable. I thought I'd be like, I remember, like, I quote myself, I was like, I'm going to be rich by the time I'm 19. I was like 18 and a half at the time. So I sold the dream on all the e-commerce and online business stuff. Obviously I don't think I made any money by the time I turned 19. So I was always trying to shortcut it to, look, if I just do the right sequence of this, and this, then I will make money. But if I just focus on, okay, copywriting, okay, angles and understanding like consumer psychology, if I was working on those things, but if I had treated those as the most important parts, as like a foundation that would allow me to make money, rather than always trying to like shortcut away and skip to the money, and seeing it as a skills-based thing and focusing on one area and saying this is how I'm going to eventually get there, say if it's sales, or say if it's copywriting, or say if it's understanding consumer psychology. If you pick the right area and pick the right niche, and you can just say, I'm going to work on these skills for X amount of time, I'll read the books, I'll apply it in the business day to day, then I would have been, I think, a lot happier in the long term, because I could give myself a bit of a break instead of like, I don't need to get results now because I'm actually chipping away at valuable skills. So just pick an area. Mine was marketing when I first started, and I'm so glad I got that digital marketing background. And now I've sort of turned it over to development as well. But also one thing is the mindset that I had was that it's a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. I'm sure you guys have all heard of it. That was so important for me to read, and I think if anyone's just getting started, make sure you read that book, because that told me that I could learn anything. And I've gone from digital marketing, well, book smart in school, to digital marketing, to development, and now to content creation. So I've done like all these different things, and because I believe that like if any human can do it, then I can fucking do it. That's been very helpful for me to approach things. It's very easy. We get programmed at a young age to think that we are a certain way or we are a certain type of person, but at the end of the day, if you wanted to be one of the best pianists in the world, you could have a very decent crack at it, and there's no reason why if you applied all your focus, you could get at least up there.
Fire, yeah. I mean, that's a bar, obviously. And even in addition to that, you talked about like what you would change and then what helped. Is there something also you feel is unique to Liam Ottley, a unique skill or a unique approach that really helped you also accelerate too?
I've always do things that don't make sense on a momentary basis. Like there's times where I've just identified a person and made a bet on them that has paid off like tenfold. Example was my business partner Josh. I used to have a picture of him up on my wall in Scotland, and I was like, this is the guy I want to be around. He would understand me. He knows what I'm trying to do. And then I eventually started working with him more and more. And then when he helped me make my first large amount of money, I remember we had a jeweler over at the house in Scottsdale, and the jeweler had like a couple of Rolexes out, and I'm like, which one do you want? And he picked out that, and I was like, okay, it's yours. So I just bought him a Rolex right up in front of him. And I didn't have like a huge amount of money at the time, but I wanted to say thank you for everything that he had done for me. And I just bought it like in cash right there. And he was absolutely like shocked. And at that moment, he was like, okay, this guy is real. I want to be around this guy because he appreciates what I did for him. And that was like a really key moment in our relationship. And doing those kind of things that on paper, it seems a bit silly to go and spend like $13,000 on a watch just to like solidify a relationship or something. But at the moment, at the time, I was so emotional over it. I was like, wow, I'm so grateful to be able to give this to this guy. And I did it again recently with Adam, my flatmate. So I met him in Dubai, and I was like, this guy is a solid dude. I want to have him in my circle. I want to be friends with him. And I really like what he's trying to do with his career and his general vibe and energy as well. And so when he asked me, I was driving around Dubai in my Mercedes, and he was like, oh man, nice, what are you doing with the car when you leave? And I was like, I'm just leaving it in the garage. And he said, oh, would I be able to rent it off you? And I was like, oh yeah, bro, sure, I'm sure we can sort something out. And I went back and thought about it, and I was like, no, it's any normal person would say, okay, yeah, give me like $1,000 a month or something, or let's strike a deal. And I said, you know what, I'm just gonna give it to him and say, just look after it, no worries at all. And that was the start of our relationship. So now we're living in Dubai together. I was just in Marbella with him, and he's introduced me to some seriously high-level guys. and it was those nonsensical, like in the time, like I could have easily bagged an extra like bit of money a month.
Yeah.
But playing longer term games like that with people that you identify as like, I want to be around this person, I want him in my circle, that's by far been, well, Josh and now Adam and those kind of players that have made all the difference in my life. And I think that's why I will always do very well, because I can play longer term games than most people.
That's been actually, like, seriously, that's one of my favorite stories that we've covered on these so far. Like, that's incredible. Thanks for sharing. Seriously, that's awesome. And that speaks, obviously, it's a huge testament to you as a person. So I'm very, very glad to share that, right? And then really, to kind of finalize it out here, like I said, these are pretty quick.
Yep.
Is there anything else you would say or you want people to know more about you or you think should be improved in the world from your perspective?
Things that should be improved in the world. Well, at least my personal aim with the business and everything I'm doing, I think AI as a technology offers like huge benefits, and it could seriously make a difference in the world if we use it correctly. But there's a massive risk right now that all of the money that AI generates within the world goes to these big companies and makes the rich even richer. So our mission, and for my company Morningside, is to somehow, and through our different businesses, to ensure that the wealth generated by AI is distributed as equally and fairly as possible. And so that's the AI automation agency model that we teach and the one that we run ourselves. That's our vehicle for doing that. So it gives entrepreneurs a chance to start making money with AI, and then entrepreneurs get to pull their own money out of the space. And then you're also building AI solutions to businesses. So these small to medium-sized businesses who wouldn't normally get access to implementing AI so that they can benefit from the technology, the agencies that we're teaching people how to build and run ourselves, that's in another way, not only the entrepreneurs getting some money out of it, but the business owner, the small to medium business owner who's like a key part of the economy that's really being squeezed right now. They also get to benefit from it and make more money and feed their families and stuff. So I'm big on that. That's kind of my mission for the next while with the company, is to just make sure that we get as much of the wealth that's going to be created from this into the hands of entrepreneurs and business owners and the regular people.
Incredible. You've literally nailed every single answer too. Like, you're crushing. You're crushing. And actually, too, to highlight that, literally another guy here, you guys have seen him from episode 1. Actually, Mateo literally went through your route through like your program too, and has built a successful business and has used that to join companies and travel the world and all these kind of things too, right? So like, living testament at this same table that I don't even think you two knew beforehand too much, right? So like, fucking look this guy up. So actually, on that note, to wrap things out, where can guys find you?
I've got a YouTube channel, Liam Ottley is my name. I'm sure it'll put it in the description or something.
It'll be in the chat.
You can follow me on Instagram. I don't really post that much, but you might see the odd pic from where I am. Liam Ottley on Instagram and YouTube as well. Twitter, you can find me. I don't post on there. But yeah, Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, awesome. So if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to me on the IG at will.coomer, or any of these we just mentioned from Liam. Definitely follow the guy on all platforms. I'm really honestly excited to see all the growth that we see from this point forwards. He's 23, crushing it so much, and we just talked about his plans and everything along those lines. Like, dude.
And you got to shout out Will as well. Shout out Will. This guy's a legend. Curates such a great group of guys around him. He's doing awesome things. So as much as he's got nice things to say, I can say it right back. So make sure you've subscribed if you haven't already.
Thanks. Cheers. Cheers on that one. Thanks for listening to this episode of Conversation with Coomer. Love. Bye.